What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Greycast. I'm your favorite Grey boy, Brendan, and today we're doing another episode of B Grade Reading Level. Today we're going to be talking about the book Ahsoka by E.K. Johnston. Now, this is a book I also recently read. I've been going on a bit of a Star Wars tear lately, with a mix of legends and canon books. So this was the second on my list of canon novels. And I actually listened to the audiobook of it, which was narrated by Ashley Eckstein, who is the voice of Ahsoka in Clone Wars and Rebels and She's basically done Ahsoka in every form of media other than the Mandalorian, which was Rosario Dawson. So, very quickly, I enjoyed the book. I enjoyed listening to it. The book begins with a very brief chapter, which is what we see at the end of the Clone Wars, which is Ahsoka going to Mandalore and defeating Maul. The only difference in the book, it's not fully detailed because it actually was already in the works at this point, even though it was a few years behind. Disney basically told E.K. Johnston, hey, don't fully go, into what happens in Mandalore because we're going to make another season of Clone Wars, but, don't tell anyone, that's a secret right now. So the book briefly describes her and the clones when they go to Mandalore. Doesn't get into any of the information of the fighting, nothing with Bo-Katan. All it talks about is that she encountered Maul, she fought him out in the open, which is different than the show, because in the show they fight in like that throne room. And in the book she actually captures Maul via ray shield, instead of just, going up to the top of the city sphere and basically capturing him up there. So there's just a little difference, and I didn't have a problem with that. But then the book fast forwards about a year after Order 66, and we basically see that Ahsoka's just on the run, going from planet to planet, doing job to job. The book starts with her, working for a farming family, doing shipments for them and stuff. And she's, like I said, she's there a little less than a year. And then the Empire just happens to show up, and it's Empire Day. And, the Imperial presence on that planet just gets a little bit bigger, and she understandably gets a little more comfortable, and she basically says, that's it, I'm out, gotta go. And then she goes to another planet, and this is a completely farming planet. The other planet was like a city planet. This one is like a farming planet, and she goes there to, she plays it up that she is a mechanic, because she happens to be good with droids, and working with mechanics, as I guess we saw throughout Clone Wars and Rebels. We saw that in that Martell sister act, that she was working for them for a little bit, or willing to work for them as a mechanic. So she's skilled in that sense. She's there for a week or two, and I guess she's beginning to fit in at that point. And then of course the Empire shows up. Now neither time the Empire is even looking for her. It's just the Empire is, we're a year into the Empire. They're trying to expand their control of the galaxy, going from planet to planet. This planet they go to mine something that's in the ground, like some type of plant that they could use. I mean, it's not like kyber crystals or anything, but there's something that they can gain from it. It's never really fully explained, but that's why they're there. And, we see the Empire being the Empire. They basically put lockdowns on everyone, curfews, and we see a couple of people kind of go against that. Like there's a guy in a cantina, basically gets too drunk, argues with an officer, gives him a little push, and that's enough for him to get shot on sight in the bar for, inciting violence and assault and this and that. And they quickly make an example out of him. And at this point, we see that some of the friends that Ahsoka has made at this point, very similar. I wonder if this was the earliest concept of the Martell sisters, because it's also a young, quirky sister, I guess, like the younger Martell sister, but instead she has a brother instead of the older Martell sister. But anyway, they begin, planning how to remove the Imperial fleet, bombing the AT-STs, and, cutting out their communications and this and that. And they have one or two somewhat successful missions, but what happens is one of her friends gets captured, and she has to use the Force to try and stop that from happening. So Imperial officers notice this, and they put a call in, hey, we've got a Jedi. And they send in, I believe it's the 9th brother. I'll confirm that. I'll put it on the screen if that's the right one or not. But they send him in. Now, he wasn't seen in Rebels or anything. He's only in comics, I believe. But he is canon, I guess. So he shows up. Ahsoka leaves. Actually goes back to that first planet because she has a vision that the first world she was on, one of the kids of the people she was working for was Force sensitive. She goes back weighing her options if she should like take her with her or this or that. Basically, she goes against it, kind of like what we see with her with Grogu. I guess she sees it as like, you know, I'm already Force sensitive. They're not exactly looking for me. They think I'm dead, but they're looking for Jedi. But there's Inquisitors looking for baby Jedi at this point. And if I just take her, it's just going to make it worse. So she tells the family, and the family basically sneak away, get her out of there. But then Ahsoka mans up. She goes back to that planet, kills that Inquisitor, and with the help of Bail Organa and R2-D2, who she gets to reunite with, which is pretty cool, Bail sends a bunch of either A-Wings or Y-Wings, and they help attack that Imperial base on the farming planet, while also creating a full evacuation for that city, because at this point, the Empire viewed them all as terrorists for trying to incite resurrection. We're arresting them, putting them on complete lockdown. So Ahsoka, and I guess the beginning of the rebellion, gets them out of there. And this is also when we see the book kind of ends, the last chapter, her talking with Bail, and Bail explaining like, hey, I'm in the Imperial Senate, but I'm not with the Senate, you know, I'm not with the Imperial Senate. We're forming something big here, and we think you could be a big part of that if you want to help. And she doesn't want to fully invest into it, but she's like, if you need me, call me, and call me Fulcrum. So that's where Fulcrum comes from. And then the last chapter of the book was the Grand Inquisitor basically going to that planet, seeing that that specific Inquisitor brother was killed, and him basically calling in Vader and saying, we got a situation here. And that's about it. That more or less covers the whole book. You know, obviously that was spoilers. I'll put at the beginning, spoiler alert. But it was a good book. It was a good listen, I should say. I enjoyed it. Hearing Ahsoka narrate all the characters was cool. Little difficult at first because she basically voices every girl character just as Ahsoka, and then if it's a guy, she just puts on a bit of a raspy voice. But I got used to it. I figured out what was going on. It's easy enough to follow. But you know, easy read if you have, you know, if you're looking for a quick book to get through, especially a Star Wars book. I highly recommend it. I'm gonna give it a B grade reading level grade of, we'll go with B+. I give the book a B+. Like I said, it's short, simple, fun to read or listen to, and if you're a Star Wars fan, especially a big Ahsoka fan like I am, you're going to enjoy it. And that's going to about wrap it up here. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of B Grade Reading Level, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.